loves Uganda, and he's told me in the past when he's done with his tour of duty, he'll probably come back and stay here as a Ugandan citizen. Ladies and gentlemen, the ambassador and head of the EU delegation to Uganda, Ambassador Antalio Pacifici, welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, also welcome with me His Excellency Albert Muchanga, the Commissioner for Trade and Industry at the Africa Union Commission. He's online and he's watching and joining us, so we want to thank you. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. First, I'll probably raise my complaints. I don't feel your clap. I don't know if you've not... I don't know if you've not eaten matoke. I don't know if you have not enjoyed our bananas and peanut paste. So I'm worried. I don't know if, Mercy, are we not looking after our guests? Okay, all right. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, also welcome with me the Honorable Adeline Cooper, who is here. Thank you very much. Allow me also to recognize our friend, our parent here, who is now an ambassador of Uganda to the rest of Africa, the Director General AfrIPI, Mr. Bemanya Twebaze. And of course, my friend, I've known him for a couple of hours, and I still have to learn a lot more from you on IPI. So, ladies and gentlemen, the head of service, EU IPO International Corporation, Mr. Ignacio de Medrano. I'm trying to learn the R's and L's. There's so many in our language. Thank you. You're most welcome, Ignacio. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're most welcome to this AfrIPI launch. You are enjoying the fantastic weather of the Pearl of Africa. We want to thank you. I am extremely excited because this afternoon, we don't have just speeches and a lot of conversations on intellectual property, but also great conversations with African artists. We have a Malawian artist in the house who will be speaking to us later in the day. We also have a queen, and when I speak about a queen, we'll be presenting to you one of Uganda's finest. She's very tall and beautiful and represents part of the industry I come from. So we want to thank the organizers for representing us in a diverse way. So without wasting your time, allow me to invite Mr. Ignacio to make opening remarks from the EU IPO. And he will, during his presentation, also welcome via video the Executive Director of the EU IPO. So you're most welcome, Mr. Ignacio. Please come.
Thank you very much, Maurice. Indeed, we know each other since yesterday, that we have a coffee together in order to chat about intellectual property, that it is the reason why we are here. So, Ministry, Director General, Ambassador, distinguished guests, it is a real pleasure for the European Union Intellectual Property Office, and on behalf of my Executive Director, Christian Archambault, with which we will have the pleasure to see a video for opening this event, launch event for the program that we are launching officially today, this AfrIPI program that we are so proud about, in which we are collaborating with our partners, our friends in Africa, those organizations that they are with us in the same path in trying to improve the intellectual property systems, and we are creating a partnership through this program. I'm talking especially about, of course, AfrIPI, OAPI, and also the African Union Commission. We will have the Commissioner Muchanga later on. So it is a real pleasure for me to be here. We've been waiting for some months to be able to have this event in person. I have to, greet DG, who has been, since months, we've been exchanging messages in order to see if this could be taking place. And it is thanks for him that we finally have the opportunity to have, I would say, one of the first events after the confinement in which we are able to discuss in person and to have the opportunity to see each other. So really pleased to be here, really glad to have the chance to back to the diplomatic conference that it is taking place, to be able to talk about the program, that it is now beginning to the road that we want to bring it in the next 4 or 5 years, together with all of you, the member states of AfrIPI, the different African countries. This is a Pan-African program and managed by the EU IPO. We are implementing the program and co-funding together with, of course, the European Commission. And this is, in a way, what we consider that intellectual property can bring, as it is the business that we bring together, how can bring to all the citizens in Africa, but also, of course, in Europe, some growth, some way to go through the difficult times that we are passing. So without any more, because we are a little bit out of time, maybe we can see the video that it is being done with our Executive Director, Christiana Charbon. Thank you very much.
Good day, everyone. It is a pleasure to be able to address such an influential and distinguished group at a time when the world economy needs a more accessible and joined-up IP system to combat ongoing damage caused by the current pandemic. I would warmly thank all our partners and stakeholders for their contribution and commitment towards the intellectual property rights and innovation in Africa project. AfrIPI was established to facilitate trade and investment in Africa and beyond by raising awareness on IPR. It also supports the African Union Continental Strategy for GIs, sharing IP tools and best practices with national and regional offices. Last but not least, it provides technical and legal assistance on IPR-related matters, including IPR policy frameworks. From its inception in February 2020, workshops, webinars, and conferences have been organized, and several IP tools have been integrated and implemented into the national and regional IP offices. More activities are planned or are already in the pipeline to build on the progress already made. I would point in particular to the capacity building workshops on geographical indications. This brought together stakeholders from across the legislative, executive and judicial arms of the Nigerian government to discuss the socio-economic benefits associated with developing robust IP legislation and policies that support GIs. In line with AfrIPI objective to support the African Union in the ongoing negotiation on the IPR chapter of the African Continental Free Trade Area, we have an expert providing legal and technical support in Accra, in Ghana. Furthermore, in October, we will launch an African IP SME help desk. This new service will provide direct IP support to the different sectors of society, including micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, on how best to manage their IP rights in Africa. Support to the smaller companies that are the backbone of the economy both in Africa and in Europe is very close to our hearts and is also one of the priorities of the European Union's industrial strategy. Finally, if I may borrow an African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. I would like to build upon that idea with continuous support and cooperation from all our partners, ARIPO, OAPI, the European Union and the African Union. Perhaps we can both achieve more and also do it a bit faster. In the current circumstances, we certainly need to try and go the extra distance, and I am confident that we are in the right company. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the Executive Director of the EU IPO. I want to thank you for your remarks, and I want, before I invite His Excellency, the head of the EU delegation to Uganda. Our chief guest, my conversations with Ignacio have been quite extensive, but this morning, he looked very handsome on my television this morning for about an hour, and he was preaching the gospel of intellectual property and why we need to begin doing the right thing. And why I wanted to specifically thank the EU Commission and, of course, via the EU IPO, the support to both OAPI and AfrIPI in bringing together these member states in talking about the harmonizing of these systems for the 20 countries. And our chief guest, I was deeply honored, and I was taken through quite a bit of an academic lesson on intellectual property last evening and had another hour this morning via television. And so I wanted a very special to thank the EU for supporting this initiative, not just here in Africa, but around the world. And I know what you've been doing in Asia and also South America. So thank you so much. It gives me great pleasure to invite the ambassador and head of the EU delegation to Uganda, Attilio Pacifici, to come and make welcome remarks on behalf of the European Union. You're most welcome, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much indeed, Master of Ceremony. Minister, Honorable Diggs, Director General Tuembase, my dear friend and colleague De Medrano, Iñaki, Dr. Cooper, I believe. I'm the European Union Ambassador to Uganda since 2017, and actually I had the pleasure of serving to Liberia for 5 years, from 2009 to 2014, Minister. So I'm really pleased to see you here. And I cannot skip to say that I was serving in Malawi as well, where I see there is a very famous artist. I was there from 2000 to 2004. Zikomo Gwambiri, to be here. Let me get started. I'm really happy to be here today to participate in the launch of the Africa Intellectual Property Rights and Innovation Project, AfrIPI. I'm truly convinced that building of a new partnership between the European Union and Africa in the field of intellectual property is more than ever necessary. In the last months, we have been taken aback by the COVID-19 pandemic. Efforts of both the European and African governments are obviously directed at reacting urgently to this crisis. Europe has shown its solidarity with partner countries around the world in this regard, including in Africa, and we have created a response which is built using the cooperation of the European Union member states and the European Union development agencies. We call that Team Europe, and so the response is directed and implemented through this mechanism. We are looking on how to build better together, and therefore the EU is not losing sight of one of its main objectives, which is a renewed and even stronger long-term partnership with Africa. In this sense, the African continental free trade area offers a possibility for a meaningful long-term engagement, which the European Union is committed to support. The AfrIPI program is part of the comprehensive European Union package to support the African continental free trade area implementation process. Intellectual property and innovations are indeed key areas where we want to offer a real Team Europe response and approach to our African partners. This means that we want to mobilize the full range of the European Union and of the European Union member states institutions, all resources that we have to support our African partners. AfrIPI highlights the concrete commitment of Team Europe thanks to the backing of the European Union Intellectual Property Office and the European Union Intellectual Property Network that spans across the European Union member states. Concerning the intellectual property rights, the creative power within Africa is obvious, is evident, and this is thanks to its young population, rich cultural heritage, biodiversity, unique tradition, and traditional knowledge and innovations. In the European Union, intellectual property rights generates significant amounts of money. I'm told it generates 84 million, or around 39% of all jobs in the period from 2014 to 2016. The success of the European Union and the African development requires innovation and talents to be fostered at all levels, including through the adoption of strong systems for the protection of knowledge and know-how, creativity and innovation, not only at the national level, but also at the regional, continental and multilateral levels. The inclusion of the intellectual property rights as an important trade-related element of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is a major step towards that direction. It provides a unique opportunity to boost and to align policies on the continent and build efficient, well-designed and balanced systems protecting intellectual property. Not only will the intellectual property rights have a direct impact on trade and investments in Africa, it will also help to protect African citizens against counterfeited goods, which for example, in the case of pesticides and medicines, can cause major damages to public health and to the environment. Overall, this is about supporting sustainable development and boosting up job creation. Industrial property rights can also be instrumental and innovative for small and medium-sized enterprises in Africa, and to put in value their ideas and their drive to innovation. And this will secure higher margins to profit and will allow and will support the establishment of collaborations agreements, attracting also investors. The European Union is looking forward to partner with Africa in the field of intellectual property. To do this, we are glad to rely on the European Union specialized body, my dear Iñaki is here today, and to build further partnership with AfrIPI and with the organization putting together countries in French-speaking part of Africa. Concerning the intellectual property in Uganda, let me refer and address directly my Uganda counterpart and congratulate him. I met Director General Twambase when he was still the registrar at the Uganda Registration Bureau Services. This was, I think, just 1 year ago. And I'm delighted to see how far you have gone and how able and skilled you have been to organize such a major event. I really congratulate the incredible work that you have done. Thank you for this. As I was saying, exactly 1 year ago, I was invited to launch the first partnership between Uganda Registration Service Bureau and the European Union Intellectual Property Office. Since then, Uganda has been the first African National Intellectual Property Office to join TM Class and Design Class, two IP intellectual properties tools developed under the European Union Intellectual Network that bring more transparency and efficiency for all users. That was the first country in Africa. These instruments are clear, concrete tools to support Uganda enterprises doing businesses internationally and in the European Union. Uganda entrepreneurs will also benefit from the upcoming African Small and Medium Enterprises Learning Tool. I think this was just mentioned. And this will be launched towards the end of October 2021 with the objective of providing small and medium enterprises a simplified way of accessing information in intellectual property protection within the AfrIPI region. These actions are very complementary with the ongoing European Union support to build partnership between Uganda and European private sector to increase trade flows, economic growth, and sustainable employment in Uganda. Since 2018, the European Union delegation to Uganda has been promoting key partnerships with a view of improving the way we do business together and to attract more investments. And this has led to organize here in these premises in 2020, March 2020, the first Uganda European Union Business Forum, which attracted hundreds of investors, private entrepreneurs coming from Uganda as well as from Europe, and was blessed by the presence of His Excellency, the President of Uganda. I'm convinced that the AfrIPI project will be instrumental to that process, and especially will help to foster partnership between Uganda and Europe, between the Ugandan and the European private sector, and this notably in the area of the intellectual rights protection. I strongly restate the European delegation commitment to support this process, and including through the substantial package that we have included in our new development cooperation package, which will cover the next 5 years from 2021 to 2027, and which has at its core the support to the private sector. The support to the private sector in order to create jobs, the support to the private sector in order to support the vision of the government of Uganda to create employment for young people, as well as to be more responsible towards the world by going more and more into what we call these days more and more the green economy. I would like to thank all participants present today, and more particularly the representative of the African Regional Intellectual Property Organizations and the European Union Intellectual Property Office for having organized and for being present today and for having invited me to this event. Thank you very much to all.
Your Excellency, Webalenyo, as they say here in Buganda. He's been learning quite a bit of Luganda. And as you see, from every country he has gone, he picks a couple of words. And we want to thank you, sir, for your remarks this afternoon. We will change a bit of the program and invite His Excellency Albert Muchanga, the Commissioner for Trade and Industry at the Africa Union Commission, who's joining us online. So team, if we have the His Excellency Muchanga, please do have him online. Your Excellency, we will now move to you, sir, to make your remarks.
Thank you very much, Director of Ceremony. The Honorable Chairperson of the AfrIPI Council of Ministers and the Minister of Trade and Industry of Liberia. The Honorable Ministers who are present in this event, the Executive Director of the EU IPO, the Head of Delegation of the European Union Office in Uganda, the Director General of AfrIPI, cooperating partners, participants, and ladies and gentlemen. I warmly greet each and every one of you, and I'm going to be very brief in my statement. I'll begin by saying coming into operation of the African Continental Free Trade Area is very much happy to participate in the launch of the AfrIPI project. We express our deep appreciation to the European Union and the EU IPO for funding this project. The project will greatly contribute to the growth and sustainable development of our economies. I can say from the outset that the state of effective intellectual property rights protection is important in promoting innovation, competitiveness, and higher rates of income generation. In this respect, effective intellectual property rights protection plays a critical role in achieving economic diversification and growth. Africa is working towards raising levels of economic growth. We have several initiatives in this regard, and I'll point a few. At the structural level, we have in the new organizational structure of the Department of Economic Development, Trade, Industry and Mining, a unit on innovation. Once fully operational, the unit will contribute to leapfrogging Africa's sustainable development by, among others, bringing together innovators across Africa to collaborate in mainstreaming innovation in the development process. We are also working with the African Development Bank and AfrIPI to commission a study focused on positioning Africa to attain and sustain 7 to 10% annual growth rates in the next 10 to 30 years. High levels of economic growth, embedding in inclusiveness are critical in overcoming poverty on our continent. As a continent which is fully committed to cooperation in the global economy, we're also working on measures to position Africa, increase our share of global trade. Competitiveness in global trade will contribute to Africa achieving high rates of economic growth, as well as improved capacities to invest in innovation and intellectual property rights protection. In addition to this, we've finalized a draft Africa Quality Policy, which will in a few days go to the Specialized Technical Committee of Ministers of Trade, Industry and Mining. The Quality Policy, when adopted, will contribute in driving innovation among our companies that will be trading in the African Continental Free Trade Area under the Made in Africa standard. And this standard will be developed shortly after endorsement of the Quality Policy by the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the African Union in February next year. Working with the Africa E-Trade Group, a social enterprise, we've started the African Youth Startup Program applicants for 150 spaces. And this indicates the competitiveness that is involved. The Youth Startup Program will be networked with venture capital firms from within Africa and outside Africa to enable our young operators to raise equity finance. And this is a resource that is critical to the growth of their enterprises. As earlier stated, Africa has been a victim of counterfeit products. We have also been a victim of the theft of our intellectual property rights. And all these as a result of a very weak regime in the protection of intellectual property rights. We hope to overcome these weaknesses through the negotiation of a protocol on intellectual property rights protection, and this is to be negotiated under the African Continental Free Trade Area. Before I end my brief remarks, let me state that it is our expectation that the African Union, that the AfrIPI project will contribute to the productive transformation of Africa, and that it also contribute to skills development, as well as contribute to strengthening our industrial design, process engineering capabilities, as well as research and development capabilities. And all these capabilities are necessary in order to enable the African economy grow at higher and accelerated rates of grow at high and accelerated rates. Chairperson, I promise to be very brief, and in keeping with that commitment, I'll end here and once more express our appreciation to participate in this event. I was told last night that I may be required at 17 hours, and I would like to humbly request that I be allowed to delink shortly after the keynote address. This is because I have another prior commitment, which is 320 kilometers from Lusaka. And immediately after the keynote address, I have to drive for that event. I'll stop here and yield the floor. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency Albert Muchanga, we want to thank you. And on behalf of the delegates in this room, we would have loved to have you here so you can actually see the wonderful smiles in this room, but also enjoy the Ugandan weather and great Ugandan food. So we apologize, sir, on your behalf for enjoying those things on you, while you're away. But thank you so much for your remarks. And I now would like to invite the Director General AfrIPI. You're most welcome, Mr. Bemanya Twebaze. I thought the Ugandans would give a rousing welcome to their own and welcome home. Karibu, please come and make your remarks.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremony. The Chairperson of the AfrIPI Council of Ministers, Honorable Mawin G. Diggs, MP, Minister of Commerce and Industry of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency Tilio Pacific Ambassador, European Union Delegation in Uganda. Thank you very much for reminding me of our engagement before I was able to serve at AfrIPI. And I want to say that that engagement definitely contributed to my speech and effort of convincing the Admin Council, and I greatly appreciate the opportunity. Only that we are meeting only in COVID times. I hope there will be times to meet elsewhere, but I appreciate your contribution. His Excellency Albert M. Muchanga, Commissioner for Trade and Industry of the African Union Commission, members of the Administrative Council, led by the Chairperson of the Admin Council, here present, the Executive Director of the European Union Intellectual Property Office, my dear friend Christian Ashambo, who was with us here virtually. We've been meeting virtually, and who is ably represented by Mr. Ignacio Di Medrano here, Head of International Cooperation Services, EUIPO. We've had very, very many discussions on phone. It's like we've known each other for decades. Thank you very much for the support that you are giving us. The AfrIPI team members here present. We have a distinguished keynote speaker, Limbani Karirani, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the African Regional Intellectual Property Organization, it is indeed a great pleasure for me and honor to address you in this event, which is dedicated to the launch of the AfrIPI project. Since we started our other engagements, I think AfrIPI project doesn't need to be talked about much amongst the people that we have here. The reason they are here was the support you gave us, the support you promised to continue giving us, and we are excited that we are finally launching this project in this beautiful city of Kampala. Let me thank the chairperson of the Council of Ministers for having accepted to travel ahead of the diplomatic conference to grace this event as the guest of honor. I know, Honorable Minister, we must apologize. We even invited you a little bit late, but when you received your invitation, straight away went to the airport. You came at night to ensure that you are present. Your presence here really is greatly appreciated. And it's a contribution to Africa. When we are here, we are intentional. It's not because we are launching AfrIPI. We are here to shape the future of Africa. We've made promises to fellow Africans, and the people to deliver on those promises are ourselves. So, Honorable Minister, when we see you commit and stretch to be with us this afternoon, we are indeed encouraged that we are on the right track. Ladies and gentlemen, AfrIPI is a Pan-African project funded by the European Union and aimed at supporting intra-African trade and intellectual property development in Africa. I will not say much about the details of the project itself, as we have the project's leaders and experts in our midst who will definitely better place to talk about this project. But allow me to seize this opportunity to acknowledge Mr. Dennis Shears. You might not see him if you don't mind. Yes, that gentleman there. Mr. Dennis Shears is the AfrIPI team leader. And indeed, you've demonstrated leadership. You've demonstrated you can deliver. I'd like to thank you very, very much for the commitment you bring to this project. We also have Mr. Gregory Frederick Shedner, the deputy team leader. Gregory is also with us in the corner here. I thought we would appreciate them the way we've been appreciating. They bring a lot of energy, a lot of work, a lot of inspiration. I would like to thank you very, very much, as well as the project experts. Ms. Weri Paroki, please, the lady here. Ms. Nancy Samliwo, the lady there. And Dr. Monique Bagal, extremely strong. Let me appreciate AfrIPI for championing, for giving us. I started with a gentleman, but there is a way ladies bring passion to this work, and I'm extremely delighted that we have the chairperson. Our chief guest is a distinguished lady, the chairperson of the council, administrative council. All the three experts that we have to, it's not accidental, it's because we trust that we have a mission together. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to express AfrIPI's utmost gratitude to the European Union Commission for this initiative to fund the AfrIPI project. So far, a number of activities have been undertaken in the framework of the project, one of them being the organization of this important diplomatic conference that we are holding here in Kampala, which was funded to a great measure by AfrIPI. And it is my strong belief that with the strong partnership and support from the European Union Commission and the EU IPO as the implementing agency of this project, AfrIPI will go a long way in contributing meaningfully to Africa's economic development. Another great lady we have in this audience, guest of honor, allow me to, earlier on, His Excellency the Ambassador talked about me having promoted the tools, launched the tools that I know the Registrar General of Uganda will be presenting. The accolades you are putting for me don't belong to me. They belong to Mase Chomugasho Kinobgisho here. For me, I was given a speech to read, like I'm reading. I was given words, but to assure you that what we started is in the right hands of the Registrar General. And at this moment also allow me that the Registrar General wouldn't deliver so much without the support of the chairman of Uganda Registration Service Bureau, and we are glad to have Ambassador Francis Butajira in our midst. He is the gentleman that ensured that that happened. Thank you very much, Ambassador, for being with us this afternoon. The chairperson of the Council of Ministers, members of the Administrative Council, I would like to inform you that AfrIPI team leader and 3 project experts will be working from AfrIPI premises for the whole life of the project. And I would like to assure you that AfrIPI premises, the host country, Zimbabwe, is a wonderful place to be. And on that note, let me recognize the representative of the minister, Mr. Willie Mushai, who is here in his capacity as the minister. I have authority to say that. I've been communicated to. Earlier on, he was sitting in that seat as a head of the IP office, but I'm reliably informed that he's sitting here as the minister. So, Honorable Minister, thank you very much. The delegation that have been given to us under AfrIPI project are happy and glad to be in Zimbabwe, and I want to believe that the way you received me and the way you are hosting ARIPO is the way you extend that hosting to the entire team of AfrIPI now stationed in ARIPO. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Chairperson of the Council of Ministers, members of the Administrative Council, I would be remiss if I ended my remarks without expressing special thanks to His Excellency Albert M. Muchanga, Commissioner for Trade and Industry of the African Union Commission, who is participating in this event virtually. We've already received his remarks. I want to say, dear Commissioner, ARIPO is eager to work hand in hand with the African Union Commission to ensure intellectual property works for the betterment of our people. I wish to thank you very much for joining us virtually. Would have wished to have you physically here, but we are glad that you are able to join us virtually. As I conclude my remarks, I'm extremely excited about this event, an event that will launch AfrIPI project. But my understanding that this is just an event. What will ultimately come are the jobs we shall create out of this project, are the people we shall lift out of poverty, are the people in whose lives we shall make a difference. And supporting the diplomatic conference is one sure way of starting a journey that can definitely yield results. We shall be hearing from our keynote speaker. Let me not preempt that, but at the bottom line is, can we have a project that is impactful? Can we have a project where we shall have measurable results? And when I say this, I'm already delighted that AfrIPI project team leaders have already agreed to even revisit the programs in a context that the heads of IP offices seated here have input. They've been able to say, we can revise what we are doing is not for us, it's for the members seated here. And I'm glad that as I speak now, the inputs, the requests I'm getting are overwhelming, but also I want to believe that we shall make a start and we shall be impactful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bemanya. I want to quickly mention that we are within the schedule we had actually prepared for, and I want to let you know that we will keep you here only when we must for this full program. So just bear with us as we catch up with our lost time. I want to, in a very special way, invite a representative from OAPI. He is my namesake, and I would have said Maurice, but in the French part I say Maurice. It sounds more romantic. Maurice Batanga, who is the head of the legal office OAPI, who will be speaking on behalf of the Director General OAPI, Mr. Dennis Bohusu. You're most welcome, Benview.
Your Excellency, the Minister of Trade and Industry of the Republic of Liberia, Chairperson of the ARIPO Council of Ministers, Honorable Commissioner for Trade, African Union, the Ambassador and the representative of the European Union, Mr. DJ of ARIPO, distinguished guests, all protocol observed, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor given to me by the Director General of the African Intellectual Property Organization, OAPI, Mr. Denis Boussou, to represent the organization at these very important occasions, particularly the launch of the AfrIPI project. He would like to be personally present here, but due to a health matter of a last minute, he could not attend. He apologizes. First of all, on his behalf, I wish to thank the ARIPO for inviting OAPI to these meetings. I also wish to thank the host country, Uganda, and the authorities of the beautiful town of Kampala for their warm welcome. Also, I wish to congratulate them for their well-organized to ensure the smooth evolution of the meetings taking place here. Intellectual property rights are an important tool in economic and commercial relations between states and between citizens. It cannot effectively play its role in the development if the state is not a state with full respect of rights, open to international cooperation and technical progress, a state capable to integrate innovations. The holding of these important meetings in the beautiful town of Kampala, full of history and as in charms, is one more concrete demonstration of this country to contribute actively to intellectual property promotion in Africa as a whole and in Uganda in particular. Let me thank the organizing committee for the disposition, for the measures taken to give us a nice stay in your beautiful country. I would also like to express towards European Union as towards ARIPO the gratitudes of WAPI for the multiple cooperation actions taken by you, especially the holding of the present event, the launch of the AfrIPI event. This project, which aim is supporting the economic integration of the continent by strengthening and improving system for the creation, protection, use, administration, and enforcement of intellectual property, confirms the major role of intellectual property in the development of African trade. It will undoubtedly be an important program taking into consideration the intellectual property aspect of the Continental Free Trade Agreement. Ladies and gentlemen, every component of this project is in harmony with the missions of WAPI and in line with the vision of WAPI Strategic Plan 2018-2022, which modernizes the Intellectual Property Office as one of the pillars to support the development of the states. Achieving this objective in a global way for the continent requires human resources with a good knowledge of the use of intellectual property, appropriate mechanism for the protection and enforcement of rights, especially the use of intellectual property for the creation of value both by SMEs and by states. Hence, emphasis should be placed on the quality of the activities to be carried out within the framework of this project in order to achieve satisfactory results in the long term. I would like to reaffirm WAPI's willingness to support the implementation of this project and the availability of necessary facilities for its success. To date, WAPI is hosting 3 of the project staff in its premises and is pursuing a fruitful collaboration with the AfrIPI project, which has so far produced interesting results. These include the elaboration of the AU registration file for Penja paper, the elaboration of substantive examination guidelines for trademark and industrial designs, capacity building of human resources through the IP master, and dialogue with the private sector on the challenge of the free trade area during the WAPI Trademark Awards. Future activities will help build the capacity of WAPI member states on enforcement. Before closing my remarks, I would like to congratulate and thank once more the European Union, the African Union, EUPO, AfrIPI, and all our technical partners for the excellent cooperation that has led to this important progress. Long live international cooperation. Thank you for your kind attention.
Nemsek, thank you very much for those remarks on behalf of OAPI. I think DG Bemanya, I don't know if I have the powers to invite our chief guest, so I will invite you, DG, to come and invite our chief guest to make her remarks. You're welcome, Bemanya.
MC, we are in the same boat. I don't have the powers to invite the chief guest, so allow me invite the chairperson of the Administrative Council, if it's okay to give her remarks, and after that, invite the chief guest. Thank you very much. He wanted me to lose my job and phone me. Thank you.
Good afternoon to all. If I may stand on existing protocols, all protocols observed. On behalf of the Administrative Council of AfrIPI, and on behalf of the government and people of Liberia, a very huge tax has been placed on me by the Director General, and I see that we have been referring from the MC to the DG and now to the Admin Council Chair. And it's a pleasure and an honor to invite to this podium none other but the Minister of Commerce and Trade of the Republic of Liberia and the Chair of the Council of Ministers, Honorable Mawini G. Diggs. You are welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. The Director General of AfrIPI, Mr. Bemanya Twabazi, His Excellency Albert N. Muchanga, Commissioner for Trade and Industry of the African Union Commission, His Excellency Attilio Pacifici, Ambassador, EU Delegation in Uganda, members of the AfrIPI Administrative Council, Mr. Ignacio Di Medrano, Head of International Cooperation Service, AfrIPI, the keynote speaker, Mr. Lembani Kalilani, the AfrIPI team members here present, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am honored to have been invited to this event as the guest of honor in my capacity as the chairperson of the Council of Ministers of the African Regional Intellectual Property Organization. Ladies and gentlemen, intellectual property rights such as trademarks, designs, patents, and others are one of the cornerstones of modern economic policy as we live now in the era of knowledge-based economy. Innovation, creativity, and intellectual property are key factors for spurring economic growth, trade, and employment in countries at all stages of development. It is also noteworthy that currently potential investors need to know if a country has an intellectual property policy in place before making their decisions to invest. intellectual property is indeed a key factor in creating an environment in which innovation and creativity can flourish and generate future growth and prosperity. For small and medium enterprises, commonly known as SMEs, to be competitive, they need to embrace the use of intellectual property in their strategies. This is even more valid in sub-Saharan African countries, where SMEs account for a considerable percentage of all businesses and represent a critical driver of growth in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been duly informed that AfrIPI will support not only the development of intellectual property systems in Africa, but also, and importantly, strengthen the awareness of SMEs on the importance and value of intellectual property in African society. I have also been informed that AfrIPI will further support the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is expected to be a game changer in fostering intra-African trade. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, today's event is not just a ceremony, but the start of a journey in the right direction. I wish to sincerely express my utmost gratitude to the European Union on behalf of the ministers responsible for intellectual property in AfrIPI member states for this important initiative. Finally, let me also thank the Director General of AfrIPI for maintaining such relationships with cooperating partners in the interests of member states. I thank you.
We surely can do better than that for our chief guest. Another round of applause. Our chief guest, this is quite the exciting part. Not to say, and you see the mood that is being created for the next part. Please continue. I am not interrupting the mood. Please continue. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome with me our keynote speaker, Malawian artist, Limbani, also famously known as Ty Green.
In my culture, it is customary poyamba mwambo wina uli wonse one kumatokoza mulungu, which means you need to thank God. We need to thank God for the gift of life. We've all traveled far and wide to be here today, and we've got here safely. There's a lot going on out there. There's a pandemic, and we're all here alive and safe. So we need to be thankful. But we also need to be grateful today because we are launching a project that will change millions of lives in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, my colleague earlier, when he was on here, said, where's the energy? I want to just also highlight that one of the things that we do in my culture is to thank your host. The food that you prepared, amazing. So what usually happens when people eat good food, the first few hours they are a bit slow, isn't that so? But amazing food, great host, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me to be at this auspicious occasion. our guest of honor, Honorable Minister, I'd like to also recognize Mr. Attilo Pacifici, who recognized me as he was giving a speech and spoke in my language and said Zikomo, which means thank you, correct? Thank you, likewise. Ladies and gentlemen, let me not take up much of your time and head into the keynote speech. But today is really a great day and one that we should celebrate. For me, it's an honor to represent my country, Malawi, and on behalf of all African artists, to be here to deliver a keynote speech. Today, the AfrIPI project launch marks the historic milestone in the quest to safeguard intellectual property rights for African artists, and that is an achievement worth applauding. Let's give them a round of applause. As a custodian of culture, I stand here before you today, invigorated and optimistic of a future Africa that justly rewards its talent. Unlike unhinged the current unorthodox practices that exist in our various African industries. AfrIPI project will arm our respective authorities and bring an end to rogue ideas of siphoning from our cultural reservoirs and reproducing masterpieces that mislead our fabric of history. For long, our identities have been stolen, our ideas, fashion, amongst many other things. Rhythms have been enriching other nations beyond the continent, but with nothing to show monetarily wise back here at home. It is undisputed that Africa is now the new frontier of the world in terms of art. I repeat this. Africa is the new frontier of the world in terms of art, and I'm sure a lot of you in this room agree with me. This indeed is the right time for this project to be launched. African culture is profound and unique. People have spoken a lot about Africa, how great our music is, dance, painting, sculptures, poetry, you name it, and we probably have it. The truth of the matter is that we are unique. But unfortunately, words don't pay debts. I repeat this, words don't pay debts. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a young man, one that loves to learn about the past to have a clear picture of the future and where we're going. With this, allow me to quickly teleport you to the year 1939, as Judy Garland made a fortune from her 1939 hit song, Over the Rainbow. It was in that same year that our own brother by the name of Solomon Linda, from the southern part of Africa, to be specific for those who may wish to know, he was from South Africa in a small tin house southeast of Soweto in Johannesburg. Brother Linda composed one of the greatest songs from the continent to the rest of the world. Mbube, which means lion. Indeed, this composition was a lion of a composition. Unfortunately, this lion did not catch any game. On record, Brother Solomon died with just $25 in his bank account. I'm sure everybody recognizes that, though. If you recognize it, can I see a raise of hands? But as I stated, on record, Brother Solomon died with just $25. But only for Mbube, the great song, to resurface in the United States of America, catching the big game of Disney in their 1994 blockbuster, The Lion King. Indeed, it was the same lion, but in a different jungle. In the American jungle, those who introduced Mbube were able to collect every cent and enjoy the lion's share, literally. In the African jungle, Mbube never collected a dime. The jungle had no proper rules, ways on how the lion was able to get its share. The same can be said about Africa even today. We create lions that roar far and beyond our continent, but with nothing to show for it in monetary terms. We certainly need modern and efficient ways to make the lions that we create catch game. I am happy to be here, knowing that we're launching such a project. And I'm not speaking just of catching game. I hope you understand this, yeah? I'm not just speaking of catching the game. Though always, we must remember that words, again, don't pay debts. Ladies and gentlemen in this room, I encourage you, as you have encouraged me with your presence here today, that together in putting concerted efforts, we will be able to do amazing things on the African continent. Having taken you on a journey in the past, please allow me now to bring you back to the present year, 2021. Thanks to the copyright expert, Dr. Owen Dean, who personally directed and litigated on behalf of Solomon Linda's family, who were living in abject poverty in the slums of Soweto. As we speak, they have been duly compensated for the past, the present, and the future. Simply put, let me just say that they now have the lion's share. But not all creatives in the motherland have the opportunity to be presented by people, experts such as Dr. Dean. All they speak are just words. But again, remember, words don't pay debts. Fortunately, on this day, we speak not just words that can pay no debts. We have an organization that will make sure that we are able not only to just pay the debts, but to be paid ourselves. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to quote the words of Hopo Green. And he said, "A little bit of sacrifice is needed in order to succeed. If you don't, then your success might become short of what it could have been." I have noted during my stay here a lot of different pronunciations. Some are saying AfrIPI, some AfrIPI. But what I've noted is that I think all of us here are thankful for this particular project. We are thankful for AfrIPI for rising to the occasion and sacrificing for Africa. Your sacrifice is not in vain, but will make a huge difference in the lives of artists, and it will be the stepping stone for great things to come and for others to build on. On that note, I am obliged, and thank you very much for your attention, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Ty Green, for those remarks. And it's an exciting time, our chief guest, for the Arts and Visual Group with IP. And that's the conversation we are currently having. How do the artists and the creatives benefit from their talent, but how do they protect their talent? And how do they collaborate with other artists, whether in Africa or abroad, outside of the African continent, to give us great content, but ensure that they benefit from that content. And so I'm excited that artists like Ty Green and all the other creatives in the industry are grabbing the opportunity to work with the different IPO organizations to protect their content. So I want to appreciate you, Ty Green, and your team. I want to mention that because we are in a different generation, and I know Pacifici, Your Excellency, and Your Excellency Diggs, this is new to us, digital media. It's become a new media platform. And these people here have embraced it, and they understand it more than I do. I know Ignacio understands it probably also more than some of us. One of the people who are here invited by the EU IPO is Judith Hard. Judith Hard is Miss Elite Africa 2021-22. Please stand for recognition. She's a model and social entrepreneur, but also a great influencer in her own right on social media. She has over 400,000 followers on her Instagram page. So she reaches more people than we probably reach combined, all of us, the delegates, if we were to combine our social media platforms. And Ty Green himself has over 100,000 followers on his Instagram page. That is already content they're developing on their platforms. Judith Hart has graced several magazines, and her image is a brand on its own, so she must patent it and protect it. And so she invests in her own image and also protects her brand, because she must be able to allow specific people take her pictures, because then there is value from her brand. And so I want to appreciate what EU IPO is doing with these artists and with the industry through AfrIPI now, with the launch of AfrIPI to protect their content, but also through OAPI and ARIPO in working with the different countries that are represented here. That said, I want to mention that this was really the beginning of the first part of today's launch. We are going into a very brief break. It's a working coffee break. Dennis, if you allow me, because we want to come back immediately. So I'm requesting that to the other delegates, you will get up and go and pick your cup of coffee and then return to the room. It's also good for you to make a few steps and record it on your health watch check, that you did some exercise in between the sitting. And as we do that, I'll ask the members of the press to come closer, because we have a press briefing with our heads here. That will take exactly 15 minutes. So we have a 15-minute break that allows the delegates to pick their coffee and return to the room. Not to stay there. Please return to the room and enjoy the press briefing as the members of the press ask as many questions as possible. We'll limit that to 15 minutes. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy your coffee, and please be here as soon as possible. Members of the press, you're welcome to the front to engage with our delegates, our heads of mission. You're most welcome. Delegates, please feel free to get your coffee and return. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. All right, so members of the press, I'll let Susan manage this. First, continue. First. All right, okay. you will introduce yourself very briefly and your media house, and then ask a question. Please feel free to decide where you want to ask, who you're asking the question. As soon as you're ready, let me know. I am ready to sanitize you and allow you ask your questions. Please be specific, direct your questions to a specific
And lastly, as an institution of government, we are charged with civil registrations, and specifically the marriage registration. Uganda Registration Services Bureau has had a long journey in terms of legal reforms, in terms of the National Intellectual Property Policy, which was passed in 2019. And this National Intellectual Property Policy that was launched by the President, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, does provide for short, medium, and long-term interventions along the intellectual property value chain, which includes intellectual property generation, intellectual property protection, intellectual property commercialization, intellectual property utilization, and intellectual property enforcement. When COVID-19 struck the globe, among the entities that suffered were intellectual property officers. The disruption caused a lot of lockdowns in many of our jurisdictions. Some offices came to a standstill. Others started working remotely. Those are the ones that had tools that enabled functionality online. And this caused a lot of delays in as far as the doing of business in intellectual property is concerned. It also caused backlogs in our intellectual property offices. And receiving all these innovations in terms of ICT or IT tools that enable the performance, the functionality of our offices in the COVID-19 pandemic and beyond is very key. Beyond the ICT tools, the intellectual property offices are expected to have the hardware tools that will enable the remote working and the software interventions. So coming to the ICT tools that Uganda Registration Services Bureau put in place, we are honored to have had a memorandum of understanding with the EU IPO, which deployed some trademark tools that will be demonstrated by my colleague later, Kedi. And these are to enable the online registration. But before then, we have always had the industrial property automation system by the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO. We have the electronic document management system, which scanned all our records into a soft or digitized platform where all the data is well stored, and this has enabled storage and accessibility to our data. So URSB recognizes the technical support of the AfrIPI in terms of fueling the growth of intellectual property. I'm speaking off cuff because my PowerPoint presentation, it's on. Okay, let's go with that slides now. Because ICT fuels intellectual property in our different offices. We have the WIPO, Industrial Property Automation System, the Electronic Document Management System, the EU IPO front office that will be demonstrated by my colleague, K.D. Henry, and the trademark and design class system. What does IPAS do? Many of our offices have the IPAS system or the equivalent of the IPAS system. We have the emailing integration, the front desk office, the TM class, the electronic document management system, the ARIPO MS module, and the WIPO publish. All these services are integrated within the IPAS. Many have been enabled and others are yet to be enabled. But as I speak, Uganda has more or less enabled all. The IPAS system was established in 2012 at the WIPO at the URSB offices, And this system, as you are all aware, as heads of IP offices, it enables reception of applications, the data capture, the classification of our data within the NIST classification, examination, registration, enabling the publications or journals, while also integrating the WIPO and AfrIPI systems and other tools. The electronic document management system is used for storage of digital data or content or physical records. Our offices must have electronically stored data for purposes of durability, for purposes of reliability, and usage by the users of our offices. And this EDMS is integrated within the IPAS system, and it has enabled seamless work processes. Then the front office, this is as a result of the bilateral cooperation, as I already mentioned, between URSB and the EU IPO. The front office is used by applicants to file their respective applications for protection online. Currently, this front office is undergoing the testing phase, as will be demonstrated, and will be launched in the next few days as soon as our clients have given us feedback, since it is under testing. I know there's a lot to learn from the innovation, the new business models of doing business online, and COVID-19 pandemic has made it even more mandatory for all our IP offices to incorporate the new business models, and these are IT tools for functionality, relevance, and sustainability of our services. The TM class and design class, dear delegates, you should note that Uganda joined the TM class and design class system used by the European Union states in August 3rd, 2020. This means that Uganda became the first African country to join the TM and design class system. And through all these innovations and endeavors, applicants are able to file trademarks and designs for protection using the extended list of items acceptable by the EU offices and in Uganda as well. The system will come ready for use under the EU IPO. As I conclude, colleagues, since we were advised on keeping time, we'd like to recognize the fact that our IP offices can only be efficient when we use IT tools from e-filings to e-examination, to publication, and to registration, and again to storage. This will also enable internal capacity building of our staff, but also the users of our services. In terms of the officers that access all our services, the tools for the new registries like the GI systems, patent examination, supporting the creation of innovation hubs, intellectual property enforcement within our offices, are most important, creating awareness internally by the users of our services and externally by the agents and all the stakeholders. And as I conclude, it is important to note that IP offices must adapt to the new business models of using IT tools, or they will perish. We need to have solid IT tools, IT portfolios. We need to rethink the way we do our businesses. And COVID has been the game changer in as far as our services are concerned. We need to use every opportunity, like the opportunity presented by AfrIPI, to jump on the bandwagon as we embrace innovation as an opportunity to change the lives of our users through ease of registration,
and accessibility. As the pandemic corners the world, because we know there are so many waves that are coming, we need to embrace digitization, accompanied with the heightened importance of intellectual property in today's COVID economy, because we are running a COVID economy and we need as many solutions in our society to be protected as much as possible without any excuses. I thank you very much as we embrace the use of IT tools, as we welcome AfrIPI into our office spaces, the intellectual property offices that continue to shape the landscape of intellectual property within the African continent. And I'll take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Henry Keddy to do a brief demo of the TM and design class and other tools that are relevant for this meeting. And later we'll invite Dennis to take on the floor. Thank you very much.
Apologies for that. We are trying to load the demo and hoping that can... Dennis? No, before I see he's ready. Please take us through. I don't know if they're loading it. And as we load the demo, I hope Dennis's presentation is there. I'm just making sure the demo is here. Dennis, I hope your presentation is there. You can come, Dennis, now, because as soon as he's done, you're next. Yes, over to you, sir.
All right, thank you so much. I am by the names of Okrut Henry Keddy. I work with ICT at URSB, and I was part of the team integrating with the three tools I'll be demonstrating to you today: the TM class, design class, and front office. So as my colleague Mercy had presented to you, we are currently using those three tools to aid in application of IP, to aid in receiving applications for IP protection. Currently, those tools are active, and the front office for reception of applications is also on its final stages of testing. And we are receiving feedback from clients, and we are making a few patches on the system. So just to show you what TM class is, it's a tool we use for classification of goods and services as you apply for trademarks. So if I'm to give you a demonstration from the site of EU, TM class, we integrated with them. Uganda is here on the list, and we use a harmonized database. That is just it's an extended list of terms from the NIS, but still, it's not different from the NIS as in off the NIS. It's still 45 classes, 1 to 45, but just with a number of more terms added to it. So for instance, if I'm searching for milk here, then I press enter, you'll see a list of terms and the classes, 29 with milk, milkshakes, and all these, and it is part of the harmonized database. Harmonized, agreed by a number of countries and accepted, and also it's accepted by URSB, YCTICS. And then for design class, it's the same thing, but just it's used to aid in classification of designs, not trademarks. And Uganda is part of that integration. So to make more sense out of this, we use front office to receive applications, and with that, we integrate with TM class and design class. So currently, front office only receives TM applications. So you will see TM class integration for now. The design class will come later. If I'm to get the link, yes, from our website, if a client goes to e-services, they'll choose the directorate. That's for intellectual property. Sorry about this. Yes, intellectual property, then trademark application. Then this is just a summary of what you need to do. You have to have something called an assessment. This is just for payment from URA. URA is a collections agency for Uganda. We make all payments to URA. And then when you have made an assessment for that payment, for that fee, they will give you a PRN. A PRN is just a reference number for that payment, for tracking. And also, we just inform you that please have your list of goods and services which you need to apply for protection. And also, we shall need your email just for communication, and your phone number as well. So when someone lands on this page, they just click Start Application. This is just information about our collection of your data, and I shall keep it safely, such things. So they accept this. Then this first page, you choose the part of the register, part A or part B. Then the kind of mark you want. It can be a name only, a logo, both name and logo, 3D shape, and the others as well down here. So for now, let me choose name and logo. Then I attach the logo. The beauty with this is that you can enforce quality on this logo. You can reject sizes of logos which are too small because they won't be clear. So to make it fast, I just organized a few free logos. I'll use this. Then a trademark name. These are all optional since there's no asterisk. So I'll just move forward with this. Now, for the goods and services, this is where you'll see the TM class in action. So if I click search, it will bring this pop-up. Now from here, you can search for any term you want. Maybe I can say house. Yeah, so house, I'll get a drop-down list of a number of options I can choose from. I don't need to know the class name, the class number, in case I'm not sure. So I choose, okay, let me leave it broad, just house, and I search. So it will give me the terms and the class as well. If I'm to just filter this, because in Uganda we accept a single term per application. A single class per application. So I choose the terms that I need in my application. So maybe, let me choose these. That's all in class 1, 4 terms in class 1. When I'm done, I view my selection. In case I need to make an edit, I can remove one, or I can still go back and add. When I'm sure of what I've selected, I say done. Now these terms will appear here. The reason for the green is because it's from the TM class. It has been verified by us. It is part of the TM class. So this green means you have passed already the check for the terms. They are valid. In case I add any other term, maybe I say I wanted still class 1, but let me just say call. And I say done. It will come in, but will be in orange, saying there's a suggestion for you. There are similar terms and another class. So if I'm to say which class is this, it will tell me it is class 4. So there's that beauty in it. You can make some corrections and other edits as well. If you see a red, it is not validated. And then this, a gray, it will just tell you that it can't be confirmed right now. There will be a register to check that, whether the term is valid for that class. All these you can see using the TM class because it is integrated with the filing system. So when you're done with this selection of the terms, sorry, in Uganda we choose one term, so I'm using only class, one class. I'm using only class 1. Then I choose next. Next, you choose the priority claims. If you have a priority, say yes. You choose the country. Let me say this, and then the filing date. You can't exceed 6 months, it will reject. So let me choose that, and then you attach the power of attorney. I just have a simple PDF to make it fast. Then I save, and I click next. The applicant, you must have an applicant on this application. If it's a local applicant within Uganda, an agent is not mandatory. But if you're a foreign applicant, you must have an agent in Uganda. So let me choose local for the demonstration. Then the type, individual. Then I put my first name. You can say Ugandan, street, town, Kampala. Of course, if you're local, it will remove all countries from the list, so you can't choose another country. Then a phone number, an email is a must. Then I save. So since I'm local, I'll leave the agent for now, but you can also add an agent as well. You just fill in these details and you attach, you attach a POA. For the priority, you attach a form, another form. So let me cancel this for the agent. Then next. Then you confirm the details of the application from here. The logo will be displayed here, the trademark name, the terms are here as well. In case you have any modification to do, you click on modify, and you can make a change and save it again. Then the signature, you just put your full name to show that you have confirmed whatever you have entered into this application, and you sign as an applicant. Then the last part is about the payments. For now, we are doing offline payments. In the first step, the first step I showed you of making an assessment with URA, the payment collection agency, and getting a payment reference number. Now, this of course is fixed. In Uganda, you must do a search at 25,000 if you're a local applicant, and then the application fee is 50,000. For foreign applicants, $65 for the search and $150 for the application. These are fixed. You can't edit this part. So you only put in the PRN. It's a long number, and then the date when you made that payment. And for the application receipt as well, you put in that PRN and the date when you made that payment. All this is in the process of being integrated with that agency, URA, for the collections. So you won't need to fill in most of these details. Later, in time, you'll just put in this PRN number, and all these details will come up of the amount and the date. And since it is an offline payment, it can't be verified right now. You have to attach proof of payment. You just scan those receipts, which have these details, the PRN and the date of payment, and you attach it onto this application. So there's just a simple one I made here to save time. And when you're done with this, you just click submit. It will take a short time. Yes, and then you'll get a notification of your receipt. Let me get. I can't share this receipt, but. Yes, that's the receipt. Now it will have the application number. This is provisional, it's not the one from IPAS. Just in case you have an issue, you can send maybe mail to the office and they'll track this. And then it will have a summary of whatever you've fed into the application, the terms, the amount you paid, and any other details of what you had put in the application. So when it is done, you receive like now it went I think around 5:52. So I think in 5 minutes it will hit IPAS, and you'll get an application number, the real one from the office, the official application number, and immediately you'll receive an email informing you that the application was received successfully, and this is your number. And in case you had an agent, the mail will be routed to the agent, not the applicant. That's what the users requested when we made that demonstration to the public. Yeah. And of course, to have this developed, you just need 2 things, just a computer, obviously, and internet, because there is a lot to learn from the tool. There was a huge knowledge gap, actually, because actually my boss asked me that, can you develop this? Do you know Java? I said yes, but I think it was a joke, because whatever I saw there it was really difficult, actually. But if you have internet, you'll learn a lot. And of course, you'll have support from EU IPO. There's a team that assists. Maybe once, they're not readily available, but maybe they can get in touch with you within 2 weeks. You just compile all your issues and you forward to them, and they help you out. So the computer, you just need a computer, internet, and time, but for the server, Currently, it runs on 16 GB, and the hard disk space of 600 GB is enough. Yeah, that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Register of the Office of Uganda, and also Henry. This is an excellent example of how to be impactful for your users and for your office. This solution, and this is what I will try to show in these few slides I have, will bring transparency and modernization to the benefit of the users and the office. I think the pandemic has shown very clearly the importance of IT tools. And this is one of the areas where with AfrIPI we think we can come in and give you assistance. A few years ago, all of the trademark information, the design information, were paper filings. So if you wanted to find out which trademarks were already registered, you would have to go to the office and actually to browse through all these files. But there is a very difficult scenario to do like this, because we have now a global approach, and there's many companies that register in several offices, so they do not only need to know the information of one office, the one of their country, but actually they should know what trademarks are registered all over the world. And this is what we try to help with TMView. And on this slide, you can see that at this moment, we have 75 implementations, which means that you can, with one single click, find out which trademarks are registered in 75 countries. This is very powerful. What you do in 1 second, a few years ago, you would need years to find out all this information. And we have a few more tools. We have also Design View, which is doing the same for designs. And then we have TM Class. And maybe I want to briefly explain why TM Class is such a powerful tool. When a company wants to register their trademark, they need to specify which goods and services are being delivered by their company. And this is done through the niche classification. Now, if you want to find which goods and services you can file for, you have these big books with the niche classification, where you have to look for each term to find which one you can apply for. Now, this is so time-consuming for the users that this is not really a modern way of working. And the problem is that even in these big books, you cannot put all the goods and services that you can apply for, because it's endless. It is only just an impression of what could be there. So what does TM Class? Basically, it shows you, and again, with one click, you can find all the goods and services that you can apply for, not only the niche classification, but also all goods and services that are not in this classification, but that should be classified by analogy. And this is already done by the system, which means that the user, when they file, can win so much time. But not only the user, because once it is filed, on the other side, we have the offices that have to verify whether this is correct. So again, the examiners have to go through these big books to find all the goods and services. So this is why we chose to choose this solution, and also to show you what the Uganda office has done, because here we can bring so much efficiency gains and really bring the impact that the DG AfrIPI said before we should look for. And you can see that also here, these tools are worldwide. So for TM Class, we have now 86 countries that have implemented this tool. Design Class does the same for designs. Of course, this tool is a very young tool, so we here only have 40 implementations because the tool was only created in 2017. Now, this is worldwide. When we now look to Africa, here we have a short overview of who has already implemented which tool. Now you can see, of course, we have Uganda there that have implemented TM class, design class, but also the front office, which is not even in this overview. And then we see that also OAPI and AfrIPI have implemented some of the tools together with some offices. What we would like to work on is to make this table a lot bigger, because we know the efficiency gains that can come to you by doing so. Here, and I have only 2 slides left, here you can see the e-filings for trademarks in EU IPO. And you can see that we are now, if you look at the far right, we are close to over 100,000 applications per year. And we come from very few, in 96. You can see that in the beginning it was all paper filing. And since 2002, we have an e-filing system in place that has basically grown exponentially. So if you win time on one particular application by using these tools, you actually have a multiplication effect, because you have these time gains for all the new incoming e-filings, now and in the future. Now, what Uganda has done is amazing. This tool, and of course, we hope maybe that next year we can actually show some statistics, some figures, but this tool will make it so easy for their users to apply for their trademarks. And on the same end, also for the examiners, the process will be made a lot easier, because when you make your application, you can also, as a user, know perfectly that your goods or service is acceptable, is in the right class, so you will not have a deficiency, and you also there will win a lot of time. Here, this is just to show you that at EU IPO, we have currently 55% of all the applications on trademarks. We don't even need an examiner to revise the classification, because it's automatically matched with these tools and automatically can be accepted. So this is a lot of time that we win, both for our users and our examiners. There's also many applications that almost entirely are accepted, and only a few terms need to be revised. And this is the red line you see on the top. So we have almost 90% of all the terms we receive are automatically classified. And at the same time, you see that the deficiency letters that we need to send out and need to follow up are also significantly lower than before. So this is basically a shout out to all of you. I hope you see the potential of the solution that was been implemented by Uganda. We are here, of course, to support you. We believe this is a visionary step by Uganda, and hope that you can also see this. If you do, please contact us. We would like you to support you, to implement such tools and to bring such innovation to your office. And then, of course, you will have the same benefits there as well. Thank you so much.
Okay. Mercy and Dennis, thank you. First of all, I think Dennis is the tallest man in the room. I've been looking around to see whether there's anyone to compete with Dennis, but it's quite the tall man. So thank you very much. For those of you who don't know Dennis, he's our, as the DG said, he's the AfrIPI project lead, and we want to thank you and the team for taking us through some of these tools. We now move to the next stage, which is the highlights of the AfrIPI activities. I don't know, Dennis, do you want to start this off? Because there's, you want to? Okay, and then please invite the next speaker. Then there's Gregor, there's Miss Were, there's Nancy, there's Monique too, who will be talking about GIs. I really want to listen to GI. We've heard a lot about GI this morning. this early afternoon, and then now I would really want to listen into that. Please note that each of you has only 5 minutes, and I am looking for the bell. I see you're agreeing with me, delegates, okay? Each of you has 5 minutes, and I'm looking for the bell. Every time you hear the bell, just stay where you are in terms of the presentation, and we'll move to the next presenter, or just introduce the next presenter. Dennis, please come and kick this off. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So what we would like to do now is basically to present the activities that we already have undertaken and want to undertake in the future. And of course, we do this with a big team. Our project is Pan-African, so we cover all of Africa, but actually you will see that the team is intercontinental because we also have a part of a team in Alicante. So we will we have several locations. We are based, as was said before by the DG of AfrIPI, a part of the team is based at AfrIPI, and then also part of the team is based at OAPI. And we will start by basically presenting the team and activities that we are doing in AfrIPI. And first of all, Nancy will come and give you a short overview.
Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to stand on protocol already observed. My name is Nancy. I'm based at the AfrIPI for the AfrIPI team. And on that behalf, please allow me also to thank the Republic of Uganda, upon whose graciousness we stand, and Zimbabwe, upon whose graciousness I stand in AfrIPI as well. I'm going to just highlight, because it's a highlight, 2 activities only that I think will demonstrate what we are trying to do. We had the Banjul Protocol activity in April, on the 28th of April, 2020, and it is important for maybe the strategic manner in which we are cooperating. This being a cooperation rather than an imposition, it is based on 3 principles that I might just elaborate on. Firstly, it is built upon acknowledging and leveraging the great expertise and amount of work that AfrIPI has actually made into intellectual property. So with the Banjul Protocol, it was also to acknowledge the work that has gone into the protocol since it came into operation in March 1997. The second principle was to acknowledge and leverage on the very significant expertise that has gone into the Banjul Protocol. The third anchor was sustainability. So how did these 3 anchors fuse together? So the first thing is, with regard to the acknowledgement, the activity in the Banjul Protocol looked at where the Banjul Protocol and the AfrIPI trademark system are right now, and in light of the future. And one of the issues that we looked at was 2-dimensionally. Firstly, from the user perspective, and secondly, from the perspective of the member states. From users, the undeniable fact is that member states and users expect a truly regional trademark system. And so the Banjul Protocol became a platform for also trying to promote accession to the Banjul Protocol. And at this stage, I must also thank the Republic of the Gambia for becoming the 12th member to join the AfrIPI trademark system. It was always a bit difficult to explain why we had 11 member states out of the 20, so that became also a yardstick of just, promoting the trademark system. The second principle, apart from just the promotion, was to really carry out a systematic analysis into the Banjul Protocol and see areas where it could be improved. So in this regard, the activity tried to aim at looking at how best to move forward the protocol. And one of the things that I think separates the AfrIPI trademark system is because it allows substantive examination by member states. But there were duplications that we noticed that, if you designate 12 member states, each and every one of them is going to be carrying out substantive examination. So this led to an understanding of how best we can eliminate duplications, promote efficiency, and that became the lead factor to the second activity that we conducted in July, where we're trying to look at ways in which we could remove these duplications. And one of those areas is already has been mentioned by Dennis, was to provide a platform where we could consider areas in terms of which we could look at common practices so that the examination process would be less onerous on member states and clearer to the users of the system. So this being highlights, I think I'll just leave it here. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention.
Thank you so much, Nancy. And we would like to basically present you another experts we have based at AfrIPI in Harare, Monique, who is our GI expert. Monique?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for giving me the floor. So my name is Monique Bagal. I am from Cameroon. I am AfrIPI's geographical indication long-term expert. Before joining the project, I had actively participated in several projects on GIs in Africa, not only in OAPI countries, but also in Kenya, Egypt, Morocco, and Madagascar on behalf of UN and EU agencies. With my legal background, I was initially more involved in the legal counseling for GI laws, but I progressively worked directly with producers' organizations and more broadly on wider public policies relating GIs, including the African Union Continental Strategy on Geographical Indication, which incidentally is the object of component 4 of this important program. So GIs, Geographical Indications, Appellations of Origin, what are they anyway? Supposedly a new subject, as we hear sometimes. Interestingly, products bearing what law has come to call geographical indications are everything but new products. They're probably the oldest subject matter of intellectual property, just because the principle of qualifying products after the place of origin because of the quality of those products dates back forever, basically. In some cases, we're referring to centuries. In some cases, we're referring to a generation, not only for EU geographical indications such as champagne, but also for African GIs. And because we are in Uganda, I would like to refer to bar cloth from Uganda, which is a very ancient geographical indication, although it's not registered. So what GIs are for sure is a new subject of attention, but amongst all the IPRs, GIs are the only ones that are not created. Unlike copyrights, which results from the creation of an original work, plant variety, the creation of new varieties, and so on, geographical indications, however, reward not the creation of a quality link to the origin, but more the preservation of the link between quality of a product and the origin of this product, to the point that an exclusive right to use is almost naturally granted to the associated community. Therefore, AfrIPI with component 4 seeks not to create GIs in African countries because they already exist, but more to create the conditions. So we are looking to create good conditions to implement sustainable geographical indications in the region and more broadly in the continent. Allow me, instead of listing in a dogmatic way what good conditions are based on best practices from EU countries, for instance, to go about it in a more pragmatic way by looking at what Africa does not want for its GIs, instead of which will help us to know what we do want. We do not want geographical names attached to a typical product to enjoy a large scope of protection in Uganda, for instance, and a lower scope of protection in a neighboring country, especially in the light of the recent entry into force of the AFCFTA. We do not want to register geographical indications so late that they are deemed generic, which was the sad fate of many African GIs, unfortunately. We do not want producers to invest so many efforts to preserve the scarcity of their products, and at the same time, clever operators who are aware of IP laws and more aware of the value attached to the protection of the name to protect the names in place of the producers, which means zero benefits for the producers, and unfortunately, discouragement and surrender sometimes. So now, how do we go from what we want, what we don't want, to what we want? Well, I can only say by getting started, and AfrIPI has already started to support Cabrito de Tete as a geographical indication together with WIPO, if I'm not mistaken. There was also support to Preuve de Penja. So Cabrito de Tete has become, as you know, the first geographical indication registered in the AfrIPI region under the sui generis system. So we are also supporting non-OAPI and non-AfrIPI GIs. Thanks to AfrIPI and your valuable participation, we can have second, third, fourth, fifth, geographical indication and more in the next coming years. So the roadmap for our activities is, of course, the 6 outcomes of the African Union Continental Strategy on Geographical Indications. So our activities have to fall under one of these outputs, and for the sake of this launch event, I'll focus only on 2 outcomes, allowing a legal and institutional framework for geographical indications at national and regional levels. And here we're implementing important activities in Nigeria. And as far as our IPO countries are concerned, and even all Africa, there is a clear tendency to enforce sui generis system of protection. And here for our IPO, the question this year is whether to go for a regional system of protection for geographical indications or to harmonize individual law. And for that matter, one of our next important events in AfrIPI to be scheduled in Harare, in AfrIPI headquarters, is the AfrIPI Conference on Geographical Indications. And as preparatory work, we would like to engage in a series of webinars in cluster of countries. I also want to finish by highlighting outcome 6, which focuses on awareness. Important improvements can be done on awareness on geographical indications, not only for producers, but also for decision makers, and of course consumers, to know exactly to distinguish how to distinguish a GI from an indication of provenance. And in this respect, AfrIPI will soon publish a geographical indication manual, and we're also working on the GI Hub, which will be the platform with all information on African geographical indication. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Monique. We have one more team member we would like to present, what is Lynn. So I would like to look at the technicians, as she is still in Harare at the moment, if it is possible to connect through to Lynn, who should be online right now. Let's see if it works. Okay, it seems we have some technical difficulties, so maybe we can keep this then for the end. So this is the team for Harare, and now we jump to Cameroon, and I would like to invite Gregor to present his team.
Thank you, Dennis. Ladies and gentlemen, chers amis, because in the end, we are representing now the OAPI location, which is a francophone, uniting the francophone countries. My name is Gregor Schneider. I'm a lawyer qualified in Germany. I have worked before in Belgium, in Switzerland before I joined the EU IPO, mainly as a litigation lawyer in IP. But then I drifted little by little into international cooperation, and now you can't get me out of there because I really enjoy to work together and to help developing solutions that can bring us forward. Now, I just wanted to highlight 2 activities or 2 types of activities that we are doing. One of them links to what the ambassador said in the beginning. We are not only protecting intellectual property, but by protecting intellectual property, we are also protecting our citizens and the African citizens. So when we protect against counterfeit products, so what we are doing, we are trying to help enforcement agencies to be more efficient, to exchange best practices. So we are putting platforms in place where we are trying to have an exchange at a regional level about enforcement practices, best practices. And we do this in specific sectors. One of the activities that we will have in Yaoundé in the next month will be a seminar on false or substandard pharmaceuticals, because this is one of the biggest problems and to the health of African citizens. And it's a problem for the citizens, and it's a big income for criminal organizations. So we need to address this, and we are organizing this seminar. You know that there is countries in which up to 60–70% of the pharmaceuticals that you can buy on the market, be it even in drugstores, is substandard at least. Yeah? So this is something that we need to address, and we are going to invite from all the member states of OAPI the health officials and enforcement officials, customs officials, in order to talk about best practices and to learn from each other. Now, another activity that I would like to highlight, which is also important, is addressing judges. As you know, well, there's a German saying that says, where there is no judge, there is no hangman, but that's an old saying, which is maybe a little bit uncivilized. So we should say every plaintiff, this is a modern translation of the saying, every plaintiff needs a judge. So we need to focus, if we talk about enforcement of intellectual property rights, we also need to talk about judges and the qualification of judges and the interest of judges for intellectual property. And this is probably one of the problems that we have identified, that there's a lack of specialized judges, also because there's a lot of rotation between judges. So what we would like to do is to bring them together and to create a dialogue, to create discussion, debate, and start developing or gathering a body of case law that can inspire and guide experts, enforcement people, so to start creating interest at the judicial level for intellectual property rights. So we will bring together, and this is something we did in the EU IPO, judges seminars. We bring together the judges, we try to interest them, or to create this interest, and also to start publishing more judgments, even trying to establish a database, because once you publish the judgments, they will be read, there will be more debate, and in the end, there will be also a more harmonized body of case law which can be followed. So transparency, expertise, capacity building at the level of the judges. This is two activities that I would like to highlight, but now it's up to our enforcement expert, Vede. Maybe I can ask you to come and explain something more important even that we are doing in OAPI and in the project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gregor, for giving me the floor. I won't speak fluently as my colleague because, as you know, I'm Francophone, and I ask your indulgence. So, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a great honor for me to address you today as we officially launch the African Intellectual Property Rights and Innovation Project, AfrIPI. I would like to join my voice to the preceding speakers to thank all of you for honoring us in such a special way, and to thank the government of Uganda for this wonderful reception. Permit me, first of all, to say a few words about myself. I'm Were Paluki Gazaro, a Togolese national who for 23 years between 1995 and 2018 served the Organisation Africaine de la Propriété Intellectuelle OAPI in diverse positions, retiring in the capacity of director. As you can imagine, during these long years, I contributed in my modest way to highlight some of our most pressing IP needs on the continent and to shape the holistic approach that OAPI has adopted to find solutions to some of these problems. From this background, the opportunity to join AfrIPI as an IP enforcement expert has offered me the privilege to put my experience at the service of a bold and much welcome initiative which seeks to support regional and the national partner in harnessing effort for the promotion of intellectual property as a well-meaning and almost indispensable tool for African development. As you have heard already, the first full years of AfrIPI's effective operations on the continent have been marked by commendable progress on several points involving awareness raising, capacity building, strategic and operational support to IP institutions, academic empowerment, tailored accompaniment for GIs, etc. However, when I look at African needs, I'm even more delighted that by working together, the European Union, the African Union, AfrIPI, AfrIPI, and all our national partners can make long-lasting inroads to mainstream key issues that may not have been given priority. I could cite a number of these issues, but most importantly, I want to talk about innovation. As one of our topmost priorities, and based on the situational analysis of the state of innovation in the continent, AfrIPI is keen on committing resources and using its diverse partnership to support homegrown innovation and encourage technological transfers. At this pilot phase, which is also serving as a fact-finding experience, AfrIPI is supporting OAPI to set up national collaborative platform between productive sector, particularly SMEs, and the university research sector in 17 African countries. The goal of this exchange platform is to create a working synergy between these two important actors of national development in order to properly express their respective needs. The fundamental question we seek to answer is, can the productive sector find the kind of innovative solution they seek in the numerous research programs that are championed by universities and the research center? Or better still, can African research serve a bedrock to innovation in Africa? You must agree with us that there are no easy answers and that the road will be long. However, our ultimate aim is to ensuring that research is geared towards sustainable solutions for our economies and societies, especially in the buoyant secondary and tertiary sectors. In the same way, we hope that through this platform, which can be reiterated around the continent, the business sector can express precise needs which can be understood by researchers and exploited to achieve a permanent nexus between the two actors. I could go on and on, expressing our profound hope in AfrIPI, but permit me to conclude by enjoining our diverse partners to understand that the ultimate goal will be to encourage young Africans on the path of sustainability through building economies that do not only depend on importation from without, but that can create wealth with value added and innovation. Thank you for your kind attention.
So this was highlighting our activities on innovation and value chains and trying to keep innovation in Africa. Now we should have a connection to our third team member. I don't know, Blaise. Blaise, est-ce que tu peux nous entendre? Est-ce que tu es là?
Oui, je suis là, je vous entends très bien.
Right. Please, go ahead. Blaise Bebe Abong is our support officer who is at, well, go ahead, please, Blaise.
Merci Gregor. Madam Chair, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you, join my voice to my other colleagues there in Kampala to thank you for honoring AfrIPI's launch event. My name is Blaise Bebe Abong, and I am a diplomat by training, and I'm project support officer for AfrIPI here in Yaoundé, Cameroon, where I provide multi-purpose support to project delivery operations for 17 OAPI countries and also for the rest of Francophone Africa. So I think that the stars are aligned. AfrIPI is a huge promise, and we are keen on delivering on this promise. When we see that there is across the board collaboration on the continent between the African Union, OAPI, and ARIPO, we are glad that this is going to be delivered. So thank you very much. I wish you very fruitful deliberations in Kampala, and merci beaucoup. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Blaise. We are trying to keep our promise, that's true. Now let's see if we can also connect to Lynn, who might be in the meantime, she's from the Harare team. Lynn, can you hear us now? We're trying.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Unfortunately, my video has been disabled, so you cannot see me. I don't know if they can allow me to use my video. But anyway, it's okay. Good afternoon to you, everyone. My name is Lynn Chiremba from Zimbabwe. I'm the project support officer for the AfrIPI project. I've been working in the development sector for the past 12 years and specializing in project management and event organization. I was also involved in managing and field activities and to ensure logistic organization and coordination of projects which were under my portfolio. I've also had the opportunity to work with on various projects being funded by the EU, ADB, and DFID and other donors, just to mention a few. On this project, basically giving support to the team in their implementation of project activities. And it is quite a great honor and privilege to be part of this journey towards creating IPR awareness and strengthening the capacity of national, regional institutions, networks, and tools for the betterment of Africa's economy. Thank you very much.
Well, and let's not forget that our team is not only based in Africa, but that we also have an important back office home in Alicante, in Spain. And we would like to present to you also Aida, who is the backbone of all this organization. She did all the logistics. She was working day and night, more nights than days even. And please, Aida, if you can hear us, talk to us.
Thank you, Gregor. Thank you for your kind words. It's been very hard, I admit, but it's been a deep pleasure. I'm very happy to be with you today. So as Gregor correctly pointed out, my name is Aida Galindo. I am a project officer, program officer in Alicante, EU IPO headquarters. So I am supporting from headquarters, but in close collaboration with all colleagues on the field. As a project officer, my main tasks are to support the project on the operational matters, also support the strategic planning, and yeah, I've been very involved in the organization of this event. I'm very happy for this. And for you to know a bit more about myself, I am originally from Spain. I am a national of Spain, but I am African at heart. I've been for many years working in Africa with United Nations, here in particular. And as you can see, my house in Spain is a little African. I'm wearing my African attire, and I am deeply in love with Africa. And I think I fully agree with what Tay Green, our keynote speaker, just said about the huge creativity in Africa. And even myself, I've had my own personal projects in supporting local artists in Zimbabwe and bringing them to Europe. And so I'm very, very happy to be part of this project. And I think we can really make a big difference. And my pleasure to be with you here and to work together for the next years. Thank you.
So yes, just allow me to jump in because I want to express my gratitude to Aida that has been, as Gregor said, for the last days without sleeping in order to support us here in Kampala to take place, that this can take place and that we are here talking to you, all of you. It's really, really a big effort what Aida has done for all of us. So thank you, Aida.
Thank you very much, Aida. Yes. So now we were hiding another location from you. We have still one person deployed in Accra, because we are also, our first component, as you know, is supporting the Secretariat in Accra in the negotiation of this famous IP protocol that hopefully comes into being sooner or later. We have Fikre Marcos, who is an Ethiopian professor who is working there with the Secretariat, and I think he's also online. He will then afterwards even give you an update, and that's the last point on the agenda, on the status of the negotiations of this IP protocol together with one of his colleagues. So I would suggest that we directly move into the presentation of Fikre Marcos, and then he can also continue to give you this short update. Fikre Marcos, can you hear us? We can see you. We can't hear you.
Yes.
Now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Yes, thank you very much, Gregor, for that introduction. So my name is Fikre Marcos, one of AfrIPI's long-term experts based in Accra, Ghana, at the FCFTA Secretariat. Today, my colleague, Desiree, and myself will give you a very short update on the FCFTA negotiations on intellectual property rights. As you know, the FCFTA is a very ambitious continental trade integration agenda. It aspires to bring together the entire African countries into one continental integration agenda. It covers quite a number of issues, ranging from the traditional trading goods and services to investment, to competition issues, to intellectual property issues. The negotiations have been taking place in two phases. The phase one negotiations related to trading goods and services, basically. And phase two negotiations cover, among other things, intellectual property rights, competition, investment, digital trade. So the phase two negotiations were supposed to start last year, obviously because of the COVID pandemic, they were pushed to this year. So what we can say that the negotiations on IP and more generally phase two negotiations have been delayed for some time. So these negotiations are in the process. So what we have been doing at the Secretariat in relation to IP, basically,
Unfortunately, I think we lost you. Your signal. Do we kill the video and keep the audio? We lost you briefly. I'm not so sure if you can just go back but with audio. We'll cut the video and just go with the audio. All right, can you hear me? Bihanu, can you hear me? All right, apologies for that. If we can later, let's try and get back to Bihanu. I want to invite Mr.
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was saying two things. One, I mean, in terms of the negotiation structure, a specific committee on intellectual property has been established. This committee will be in charge of negotiating the protocol on intellectual property rights. Second, the preparatory works. As you can imagine, the negotiations require preparation of different documents, studies, situational analysis, and so on. And as a background for the negotiations, we have been preparing several documents. Now, so that's where we stand now. The negotiations are at a very early stage. We are trying to prepare documents and negotiation structures, but I think what's clear at this time is that even though the FCFTA is a continental trade integration agenda, the role of intellectual property rights has already been recognized. Intellectual property rights, as you know, can play a very important role in facilitating regional integration. So the African heads of states and governments have already recognized this, and there is a clear mandate to negotiate an IP protocol within the FCFTA framework. So the Committee on Intellectual Property Rights is expected to meet sometimes in mid-September, and we expect the real negotiations to start very, very soon. Now, I know we are running out of time, so let me just allow my colleague Desiree to add on what I have been talking about in terms of updates. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bihanu. All right, and so I want to just quickly check, Monique, do we have Desire Lomo online? All right, so Desire, please stand by, just give me a second, and then let's also line up Gail Dolins, the representative from DG INTPA. But we'll begin with the Desire, a representative from the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat. Desire?
So I will not take too much time because I will just complete what my colleague Marcos has said. So we are now about to start the negotiation process of the protocol. So I think you got the message of the Commissioner on Trade, recalling that this was a clear mandate agreed in the course of the negotiation of the AfCFTA agreement. So as Marcos made it clear, we are now developing some documents so that we can submit them to state and non-state party for their consideration. And of course, we're also planning to have some training session to assist the member state. But for the time being, what is much more urgent is to develop those documents so that we have a clear orientation on where do we want to go with this protocol, what is the scope of this protocol, and so on and so on. So we leave it to you there. So I also want to greet some colleagues and Madame Gazaro from OAPI and all these colleagues in the room. Thank you very much.
Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Desire. I really want to appreciate the seamless transition. Thanks, Monique and the team. Really great job. All right, so Ms. Gail Dolins from the Directorate General for International Partnerships, yes? Yes, we can see you. Microphone.
And now you should be able to hear me.
Yes,
correct?
we can. Great.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much for the introduction. I won't be long. I think it has been a very rich and intense launch event. I will first introduce myself, Gaëlle Doléance. I'm here speaking to you on behalf of INTPA, which is the department in the European Commission responsible for international partnerships, so co-financing this AfrIPI program. Very, very happy. Well, I regret that I was not able to be with all of you today, but at least I'm happy and grateful that I have the opportunity to be with you remotely, at least. I'm supposed to say a few closing remarks, so let me, I think, just say that I was impressed by the interest and that the program raises for a lot of different partners, being the intellectual property offices, regional offices, national offices, interest from entrepreneurs, from artists, well, a very diverse range of interest, and really what I take from this afternoon is really the appreciation and the gratefulness that was expressed. So I was quite impressed by that. And what I can only say is that is express my gratefulness as well on behalf of the European Commission, because what we can do with this program is to offer a service, a partnership, some expertise, but of course it is only thanks to the great engagement of all the partners that the program can deliver. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Gail. Thank you so much. And I really want to request you, the delegates, to give a round of applause for all our speakers. Again, apologies for keeping you long and keeping you away from this fantastic cocktail that we are going for. But it is a reward for being part of this successful AfrIPI launch. I can't express myself any more than probably the DG did and our chief guest with the excitement for this partnership that's beginning, this program that will support the protection of our IPs and the IP rights and copyright and this voluntary registration that we are driving as a team, the 20-member countries, OAPI and AfrIPI. I really want to appreciate all of you for this conversation that's been going on since Friday, and for it to conclude with this fantastic launch, and not to overlook tomorrow's great event. This is really the highlight of these 4 or 5 days of a conversation that is very important and critical to artists, to innovators and creators on this continent. And we want to thank the European Union Commission, the European Union IPO. We want to thank all our partners, OAPI and AfrIPI, and of course our hosts, the Uganda Registration Services Bureau, for this conversation and the successful launch of this program. So a couple of administrative announcements I want to make. Please note and tell a friend in case there's a delegate who's not here. The cocktail, I'm told they were ready for us 30 minutes ago, but I guess the longer the wine stayed in the freezer, the better. So it's better chilled right now for us. So please do not hesitate to join us for this cocktail. It's really by the lakeside, one of the smaller pools. So if you go to the gardens next to the lake or just besides the lake, you'll turn right. After the opposite side of the gardens, you should be able to find the pool. Please tell your delegate colleagues. It's an invite to all of us, the delegates. It's also an invite for some of our heads of delegation, including the ministers who arrived a short while ago. So for some of you, the delegates whose ministers arrived a few minutes ago or a couple of hours ago and they're in their rooms, please ask them to join us for this cocktail. It would be nice for them to interact with our leaders, but also nice for them to meet some of the other delegates from the other countries. We are still observing the COVID protocols. I don't know how we'll do it as we drink wine, but try. All of you are safe. We've all been tested, but I'm hoping that we still can remain safe even as we enjoy the cocktail. Now, for tomorrow, and this is really important, tomorrow is a very big day for all of us, for the organizers, AfrIPI. The head of state will be here. I'm sure you're aware. You've seen the security in this building and around the hotel. It means that there will be probably more stringent measures as you enter the conference hall tomorrow. We're using the tent by the garden. If you were coming here, you probably saw a big tent in the main garden as you come into the hotel. That will be where we gather tomorrow. Please be there before 8 a.m. We are hoping by 8 you will be in. There will be more stringent measures as you come in. Please note the following. 1, carry your accreditation card or your pass with you because that will be very critical. Do also carry your COVID test, result slip. Those have been printed for some of you. If you can't print it out tonight. And also, do not carry your phone and laptop. Keep the phones in the hotel room and do not carry the laptops because if you do, then they'll ask you to return to your room and then drop it there before you return. I'm not so sure. Have I left out anything else? I think those are the rules. So please carry your tag, your accreditation tag, carry your COVID test result. Don't come with your phone or laptop or even iPad because that might be a challenge for you as you get in. And let's try and make it early on time. Breakfast will be served from 6 a.m., so if you can come by 8, that would be great. So we really want to thank you for a great day. Please give yourselves a round of applause for a fantastic launch. And to all our partners, I really want to appreciate the organizers, everyone who is behind this. Mercy, your team, who are behind this great launch. I think it was Monique and Nancy I met last night. And I really want to thank you and your team, Ignatius, for the fantastic teamwork you displayed over the last few days. And I mean, it's unbelievable. I was told the WhatsApp group never goes to sleep. Late in the night, they're still chatting and planning for this launch. And I want to thank everyone who was behind this fantastic launch, to our members of the press who are here and everyone who was part of this fantastic broadcast, the team behind the scenes who are broadcasting and streaming this live, and also ensuring that we have all our speakers available online. We want to thank you. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for the team. All right, so that said, you all deserve a cold drink. So please go and enjoy yourself. Yes, Ignatius, yes.
Just also to thank you, Maurice, as a master of ceremonies, because you have done a fantastic and a great job. So thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Ignacio. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, let's go have a drink. And in case you can dance, please, we'll make sure we can maybe shake a leg. Huh? All right. Thank you very much. Good evening and God bless.